Good evening, night owls. Welcome back to Night Shift Stories. I'm Nova, a nurse with an insatiable appetite for true crime tales. Thanks for joining. Grab your snacks and blankies because this one's a doozy. Viewer discretion is advised. These stories are not for the faint of heart. If you're ready, settle in, but don't get too comfortable. The night shift has just begun. Another day, another dozen lies I didn't ask for, Anna muttered, throwing back the silk covers. The early morning light streamed through the heavy curtains, painting her room in muted gold. She sat at the edge of her bed, running a hand through her messy hair and glancing at her wall clock. 7 a.m., time to make her rounds. Anna's mornings always began with the routine she had perfected over the years. The soft creak of the estate's oak floorboards greeted her as she slipped on her slippers and stepped into the hallway. Her first stop was always the nursery, a sunlit room lined with cribs, each occupied by a baby at various stages of life. She walked down the row, softly murmuring greetings to the tiny occupants. A few soft cries filled the room, though most were blissfully unaware of her presence. She moved on to check the young mothers, women tucked away in guest suites on the east wing. They were always tired, their bellies heavy with impending motherhood. Anna asked about their health and comfort, knowing their answers didn't matter much to anyone but her. Next, she decided to go to the kitchen, where the cooks prepared breakfast. She reminded them to prepare soft porridge for one of the pregnant mothers and a simple meal for herself. Before heading back upstairs, she took a detour to the garden, where a stray cat lounged lazily. The cat's swollen belly caught her attention. "I guess everyone is having babies around here," Anna joked, tossing it a scrap of bread. Anna found her mother in the smallest room of the nursery, cradling a baby. The infant, barely a month old, lay quietly in her arms, soothed by her practiced hands. With her silver hair neatly pulled into a bun, she was a striking woman who had delivered countless babies, both during her former career as a midwife and now under very different circumstances. "She's perfect, isn't she?" her mother said. "The couple coming this weekend will be thrilled." Anna struggled to reconcile the woman before her with the mother she had once known, a woman who once taught her to bake cookies, but now hosted tea parties to haggle over human lives. "You see, sweet pea, life gives second chances to those who deserve them," her mother whispered to the infant. "What a precious day," her mother called. "Breakfast ready?" "Almost," she replied before walking away. Anna's father was a quiet but powerful presence in their household. He kept to himself in his study, rarely attending family meals, yet his influence could be felt in every corner of the estate. His connections in high society and shady dealings with influential figures allowed him to protect and expand the family's fortune, ensuring the business ran without interruption. As she walked past, Anna knocked softly on her father's office door. His study was dim, the only light coming from the soft glow of his desk lamp. She leaned against the door, offering him a small smile. "Dad, you joining us for breakfast this morning? The cooks can make blueberry pancakes for you. Your favorite." "Maybe tomorrow, sweetie." He didn't bother looking up as he focused on the work that had consumed him. "I'm busy with some things. You go ahead." Anna stepped out into the back courtyard, watching the servants and groundskeepers preparing for the parade that would begin tomorrow. The estate, usually quiet and serene, was bustling with activity as workers set up extravagant tables, pristine linens, and floor arrangements for the Saturday brunch. It wasn't just any meal, but a display, an ostentatious show of wealth and power. The guests would come in their finest, exchange pleasantries, and discuss business deals while sizing each other up. Tomorrow, the long marble staircase will be lined with guests from all walks of life, but they had one thing in common: money. From the mayor's wife to well-known actresses, they all sought the same thing: an introduction to the family, a chance to see the process, and perhaps a deal to be made in whispered corners. For 16 years, Anna's life had been defined by duty and expectation: feeding the babies, managing the young mothers, and maintaining the pristine image of their home. She knew the consequences of falling short and questioning her parents, especially her mother. Anna had grown accustomed to the sinister realities concealed within these walls. However, her conscience awakened as she realized that this seemingly secure life was suffocating, and she may not be able to maintain the facade of the dutiful daughter much longer. The nursery for the undesirables was a place Anna knew all too well. A room kept hidden away from the others, tucked away on the second floor of the mansion, with large windows offering a sweeping view of the lake, the same lake that had borne witness to many secrets that Anna herself had yet to fully reckon with. This room always felt colder than the other nurseries. These babies, who didn't have the luxury of being adopted or passed off as legitimate children of wealthy women, were left here until their fate was decided. Anna found herself drawn to them, particularly one child, a boy with cinnamon-colored skin, green eyes, and curly brown hair. There was something unsettlingly familiar in his features, as if she were staring at a younger version of herself. Her own green eyes, dark curls, and olive complexion had always stood in quiet contrast to her parents' fair skin and light hair, leaving her to wonder, was this why she felt such a deep connection to these children deemed undesirable? She was an outlier in her family's polished portrait. Maybe she belonged in here too. It wasn't just a pity she felt for Cinnamon. It was recognition. It wasn't just guilt that kept her coming back to this room filled with the forgotten. It was the fragile hope of finding a truth about herself in their survival. This baby, though unwanted by wealthy families, had been a constant presence in Anna's life, and she fought to keep him. As she sat with him, feeling the warmth of his small body against hers, her mind drifted to the looming reality. If another woman goes into labor, there won't be room for him. At 6 months old, if she didn't act, the lake, a place that had always brought her grief, might soon become the baby's final resting place. Though unwilling to let go of the one pure thing in her life, the truth was, there was no escape. Anna couldn't forget her first time on the lake. The memory haunted her still, when her father had taken her out on the boat, just the two of them. She was young, still learning the way of the world, and there was something in her father's eyes that day, a coldness that Anna hadn't seen before. It wasn't until they were far from shore, out on the open water, that she noticed something drifting in the distance. At first, she thought it was just a piece of debris, perhaps a log or a tree branch, but as her father steered the boat closer, Anna's stomach dropped. It was a wooden box, floating quietly on the water, and inside it, something was moving. A tiny body, curled up and still, drifting in the open water. He grabbed the box and brought it onto the boat. She screamed and begged him to stop. He grabbed her chin, looked directly into her eyes, and said, "Some things are better left to the lake, Anna." Her father reached down, grabbed the now weighted box, and without a second thought, threw it overboard. The baby, or whatever was left of it, sank out of sight. When she returned to the nursery, panic set in. She walked past the row of cribs, checking each one, only to realize another baby was missing. "Where is it? Where is the baby?" she demanded. Her father looked up, unfazed, and said, "Not everything is meant to be saved." That day, her father banned her from the nursery for a month. She learned that to stay involved and to be close enough to protect them, she had to fall in line. She couldn't show emotion. They were tools, not people. And if she wanted to remain useful, if she wanted to stay part of the family's operation, she had to start pretending that she didn't care. But no matter how hard she tried, the echo of those cries and the image of the wooden box floating in the lake would never fade from her memory. The estate buzzed with activity as Saturday morning unfolded. Anna moved through the nursery, dressing the babies in their finest attire. Crisp white rompers, pastel bows, and delicate hand-knit booties decorated the infants as nannies and staff fluttered about, ensuring everything was flawless. Outside the back courtyard, workers were putting the finishing touches on the extravagant brunch setup. Tables gleamed with polished silverware, floral arrangements spilled over with lush blooms, and champagne glasses waited to be filled. Anna gently smoothed the fabric of a baby's embroidered bib, Today's parade, she sighed. The main event in this three-ring circus. Her mother's voice floated up the staircase from the dining hall as she greeted guests. Anna could picture her commanding attention as she glided through the crowd. Downstairs, the wealthy couples gathered, mingled in clusters, sipped champagne, and exchanged polite conversations about the transactions they were truly here to make: the babies. Just as the last baby was lifted into a nanny's arms, one of the young mothers burst into the room, her face pale and panicked. "She's in labor," the girl shouted, clutching the doorway for support. "Bring her to the birthing suite. I'll be up shortly." The guests downstairs exchanged congratulations, and then a cheer erupted, as though the news of a laboring mother was part of the show. Anna's mother sprang into action, delegating tasks to the staff before heading upstairs to oversee the birth. Her father stood quietly for a moment at the base of the staircase. Then, in a low voice, he leaned toward one of the male workers and whispered, "Prepare a box." The man nodded without hesitation, replying, "Of course, sir." As her father led the remaining staff downstairs to resume the brunch and parade, Anna was called to the labor suite to assist. "Hold on just a little longer, Cinnamon." Labor meant a new baby, and with space in the nursery already stretched thin, she knew what that meant for her cherished Cinnamon. Anna knelt beside the young mother, wiping the sweat from her brow as she cried out in pain. Her mother barked instructions to the staff, but Anna tried to soften the tension in the room. "You're doing so well," she said, though the woman's desperate grip suggested otherwise. The mother's moans became louder and primal, and Anna glanced out of the window, seeking an escape from her spiraling thoughts. The lake stretched out like a vast, silent witness, its surface shining under the mid-afternoon sun. She thought of the boxes her father ordered prepared, the ripples they would leave as they sank beneath the water. Her mind drifted to Cinnamon, his tiny body nestled in the nursery's corner crib, with no idea what was being planned for him. "This can't be my life," she thought. Something shifted. She couldn't save them all, but she had to save this one. "Anna!" Her mother's sharp voice shook her from her thoughts, snapping her back to the chaos in the room. "Anna, hold her leg. The baby's coming now." The baby's cry echoed through the room. Anna's mother gently placed the newborn into the young mother's trembling arms. "You've done well." Anna watched from the corner as hours passed and nighttime came. Slipping from the room during some commotion, Anna made her way down the dim hallway. She hesitated as voices drifted from a nearby room. Peeking through the door's gap, she saw the male workers handling a small wooden box. She knew she had to move quickly. In her bedroom, she yanked open drawers and stuffed a small bag with clothes and essentials. Grabbing the suitcase, she hurried to the undesirable's nursery. Cinnamon's green eyes met hers as she gently lifted him into the open case. His soft whimper was the only sound in the quiet room. She added a few bottles, a blanket, and some spare clothing before carefully closing the lid, leaving just enough space for him to breathe. The hallway was eerily silent as she crept toward the kitchen. The clatter of dishes and laughter from the kitchen staff grew louder as she snuck through, clutching the suitcase tightly, only to freeze when a young kitchen cook turned and locked eyes with her. Her plan was unraveling before it even began. Then, as if transported by a shared memory, the cook's demeanor softened. 6 months ago, Anna held this young woman's hand through her labor, whispering kind words as she brought Cinnamon into the world. The cook's eyes darted to the suitcase, and as a faint cry came from inside it, it dawned on her what was happening. Without a word, the cook moved quickly, gathering a basket of bread, jars of fruits and vegetables, and dried meats. From behind a jar of flour, she retrieved a tinned can and pressed it into Anna's hands. "Go, take him, and don't come back," her voice trembling. She nudged Anna toward the back door and closed it softly behind her. The pathway to the dock seemed endless. Reaching a small boat, she placed the suitcase and the basket inside. Her hands fumbled trying to untie the knot that secured the boat to the dock. Shouts erupted from the house, prompting her to look back and see large figures rushing toward her. Her cold fingers worked desperately as she held her breath to focus. Then she felt 2 hands grab her shoulders. A scream caught in her throat as she spun around, expecting the worst. But instead of her father or one of the workers, she saw the young cook, her green eyes reflecting the same desperation Anna felt. "Untie it," Anna pleaded. The cook dropped to her knees and worked the knot loose. "Are you sure?" Anna asked as the cook climbed into the boat, clutching Cinnamon to her chest. "Row," the cook commanded, her voice firm. Anna grabbed the oars, her muscles straining as she desperately propelled them away from the dock. Behind them, the shouts grew faint, swallowed by the darkness of the night and the rhythmic splashes of the oars hitting the water. The lake, which had once carried the weight of her darkest memories, now felt like a bridge to something new. The echoes of the baby's crying that had long haunted Anna on the lake seemed to dissolve into the stillness of the night as she rowed further from the dock. It was as though the lake recognized the gravity of her escape and offered a rare moment of peace. And for the first time in years, Anna allowed herself to hope. Thank you for joining me on this journey through From the Cradle to the Lake. I'm Nova, reminding you that the night holds many secrets, and we've still only just begun to uncover them. Meet me here next time as we work through the night shift together. Until then, sleep well.